Hey everyone, I wanted to create a quick tutorial on how I set up my class as a professor. As the ordinary professor, I'm always looking for tools, tips, and tricks on how to make my class more engaging. So this summer I'm teaching on an async format, and I don't do too well with that because I feel like there's not enough engagement, especially teaching cultural diversity. So I want to show you how I set up my class in the first week, so maybe it can give you some inspirations as a professor of how you can create more engagement. So especially if you're async and online, it can be a little difficult. So here's what I did. So let's go into my class. So this is for Blackboard. I've used Canvas in the past, and I do love Canvas, but for this specific class, I use Blackboard. So here's kind of how I set up my class, and I've taken some classes on how to navigate Blackboard. So in the beginning of a class, I put my announcements, my syllabus, the access to my book here. I set up all my Zoom meetings because I do have office hours, so I put them up there and my discussions. Then what I do here is I set up my weeks, and I put usually 3 weeks where they're available for my students to view. And then as the weeks go on, I open up my different weeks so my students don't get too much ahead of themselves. So for this class, what I did is let's start from the beginning. I do an opening, a welcome to my class with a picture of myself, some links of some of the consulting practices I do, the things I've done. I like to kind of plug in my TEDx when I can, and a little bit about me. Just short and sweet because you don't want to be too long, people won't read it. I leave my bio and my research and stuff to that part. That can be longer, but just for the intro, keep it short, sweet, and add a picture, right? Super important. So that the students can see your face and see who you are. Now next, what I like to do is welcome them the first day. Hey, here's what's going on. Here's a course link to get to the course. Welcome. Now, what I do on week 1 is really important. So I create this getting to know you survey, and I use SurveyMonkey for this. And I always put the QR code in the link so they can access things, and I give them a timeline. So this survey is filled with questions to get to know more about them, and if there's any celebrations we're doing during class, what's coming up the pipeline, what's their major, where they're at. Because some of that information isn't given when you're online async, and it's super important. The more you can connect to your students, the quicker you can learn their name and who they're about, the better you're doing as a professor. So I think this is critical. So I create a survey and I collect the data on them, and then I kind of, like if you've seen any of my posts prior, I like to do like strength cards or like really put in that special component of me knowing them so they know that they're seen and heard, and also they're not just a number. So I create this survey because that helps me a ton to organize the data. Now next what I do is I create this weekly check-in. So Monday I have an announcement, and then Wednesday I create the short video like, hey class, it's me, just reminding you, and you have this due, please do my survey because we're week 1. And then I kind of go through where they find everything. I know I made a video, but I also assume that maybe they didn't watch the video yet, and so I create another one, and then I put things in writing. So consistency, repetition is critical, right? So I want to make sure that I'm repeating myself, they have access to the information, and my information is being consistent, right? So then what I do is for my week 1, let's go through and see what I'm setting up. I created this whole welcome video that goes through Blackboard extensively, goes through my syllabus, right? 21 minutes. I do actually put on my camera a few times here and there so they can see my face and they can have access to like, hey, who I am. But it's more about where do you find the information, okay? Now then I write out everything for them and I make it clear of what's doing, like what's due, what they have going on, and then I put my Zoom stuff. So I actually change the meeting links and stuff like that just for the purpose of it. And then what I do is I create the assignments with clear guidelines and templates. I write up the interview, like so they're doing an interview activity, I write up what type of stuff they need to put in their journal. Then I create a discussion post to tell them like, hey, I'm trying to figure out what you know about diversity. Tell me more. So usually my first week of discussion posts, I don't base it off the reading because they're accessing the book. Might create a lot of anxiety. So what I do is I create discussion points that would bring value so I can understand, hey, where are they coming from? Right? This is a really tough topic. I want to make sure that I'm not making any assumptions about people, and I can see where I'm gauging what information they know. Now, here's what I do last. I go through the content, so chapter 1 and 2 of my book, and I find the common themes and trends that we're going to be talking about. Then I find videos that would support what I have to talk about this week. So I do about 3 or 4 videos, right? So I start with like my opening video, then I record my lectures, right, through PowerPoint, and then I just do on, and I'll show you that in a later video, but I just do that in a way that I record slide by slide so that they can access it and it's not consistent, so they don't have to stop or rewind. They can just listen to it that way. I find that was work for me best. Then I put some readings here, and then I go through my rest of my videos. So this really goes into what we're going to be talking about this week. So my chapter, I read first, find the common themes, and then I find videos that relate to it that would be really helpful when we're talking about discrimination. And so this week we're focusing on social categorization, prejudice, racism. So I put all the videos up to add some component, because you have to think about the different type of learners as you're a professor, especially online async. So you have, the people that learn through reading and writing. There's people that are audible. There's people that also are more visual. So you want to make sure that in your class, you have the different tools and resources to help your students succeed, right? So I do both. And then in my recorded lectures, I focus on the content that is most critical for that week, right? So I really kind of reevaluate. And the last thing I do is I drop my lectures on Wednesday. So I give them a few days to do the reading prior. So that's just a snapshot of how I open up my class on Blackboard. I hope this video is helpful for all my professors out there. I want to be able to give you tools and resources, because as being an ordinary professor, we have to get creative and innovative, because everything is going hybrid online. And it's really about finding the tools and resources that can be helpful for us. So if you like more of this content, please subscribe to my channel and just type in what you want to learn more, and I'll make sure I find that for you, okay? Thanks so much. Bye.